more time.
A perfect waveform. Sounds like this. It's mathematically perfect waveform.
Wouldst thou like to live deliciously?
Solitos tuo, sulcarum ungularum, delectatque contremescit me. Intra.
Welcome back to 13th Elm. It's Michael. I'm hosting this week, and I'm joined as always with Rob and Bill.
Hey.
Yo, what up?
Jumping into the episode, I think we might have a lot to say, so I don't want to spend too much time with the intro. It's a 2001 Spanish film by Mexican film director, icon, Oscar winner, Guillermo Del Toro. This one is called The Devil's Backbone. I believe the title in Spanish would be pronounced El Espinazo del Diablo. But
Perfecto.
I don't know. I could probably and definitely not be saying that the way that they would be saying it in Madrid. This movie is set, as I bet you could guess, in the Civil War of Spain, because it's Guillermo Del Toro. I think this was his third movie. It's 2001. He'd already done Kronos and Mimic at this point. Those are both rooted in horror, and this one is pretty much a traditional ghost story horror tale as well. He spent a lot of the early part of his career in it, and I don't know. What do you guys think of this? Had you seen it or heard of it?
Yeah, I'd heard of it. I'd not seen it before. I don't know. I'd seen Kronos a couple times actually before seeing this. I'd seen it the first time when I was pretty young, like, I don't know, 18, 19 or something like that. But very much like this film, it's drama heavy. I'd almost say it's more like a macabre drama, and it fits under the big umbrella of horror with a capital H. No issue with that. But it's might take more patience if you're not into what Guillermo Del Toro is offering for you. And I read that this was his favorite film that he's produced of his own. Not like his favorite film ever, but the favorite of that he has brought to life.
Like written, directed, or produced, whatever, been a part of.
And also a sister film to Pan's Labyrinth, where this is the feminine version, this is the masculine version, where Pan's Labyrinth is the feminine version of this film, which makes sense because they are very similar, even in just like a very basic plot of a child that is abandoned in the Spanish Civil War. The father is absent. Like, there's a supernatural aspect to it, but it's more of like a interpersonal drama.
I think that you'd find that a lot with not just Spanish horror stories, but specifically like Spanish ghost stories. I don't know. The Spanish and like Mexican cultures love to dramatize the stories quite a bit, and this is definitely rooted deeply in like a dark drama, but ghost stories, and we'll probably cover this, I don't want to take up too much more time on this, but like ghost stories are kind of palatable for like the whole family, or like cultural like stories. We've talked about this before off pod, like kind of like oral traditions, and like as far as horror goes, it's not the slasher movie or even like the monster movie, but ghost stories seem to be accepted by all cultures and traditions, even though they're different from each. And I don't know, your grandparents know ghost stories and stuff. You know what I mean?
It's definitely like cross-cultural, cross-generational.
Yeah.
Pretty. I don't know, ingrained in like human society and human psyches. But
like what happens after you die?
Yeah,
you know, that's the whole thing.
Really, like, hot take right here: cut all the ghost shit out of this movie, and cut like maybe 20 minutes out of it, and I'd like this movie a lot more.
I almost agree. I think you gotta. I would take all the ghost stuff out, but then add more.
I would just leave all the gore and like everything else. Like I like this movie, like spoiler, I like this film, but and I don't think it's even tacked on so much as it's separate in so many ways, and we can get into it. But
Man, I think that's
but
a cultural perception.
It is like there's a lot of like this the Spanish Civil War that I don't know historically that I feel like I'm missing out on what Guillermo is trying to tell about.
I would say maybe more it's about the culture of the afterlife and the relationships that these people have with the afterlife, because American ghost stories are really a unique thing in a lot of ways. It's like they weren't ever really told in a scary way initially. They aren't like the old gothic like European ghost stories, you know what I mean? They were like funny or like friendly. They weren't like scary, and then they became like scary and malicious. But in like Japanese cultures, Korean cultures, even like I don't know, some of the other Southeast Asian like horror movies I've seen dealing with ghosts in the afterlife, and definitely in like Mexican and Spanish cultures for sure, the ghost isn't necessarily malicious as much as it's like it's tied to like a tragedy or something that needs to be set right in the world, or it brings awareness to somebody in the physical world who can prevent the cycle of wrongdoing. And like this is very much a drama, and it's the horror here, and the antagonist is Man and Jacinto for sure, right? Like
no,
but the ghost is a vehicle. Like the stories
they lay it out at the very beginning with the quote, right? What is a ghost? And like it's something repeated, and like it's a almost like a hurt or a crime or a stain. So I totally get what you're saying. This film. I still think, though, that even with all that said, like I like this film as a drama more of it. I'm more invested in the human aspects of it. I'm more invested in like the Civil War, and even though it's like ending at this point, it's like probably like late 1938 or 39, because they're talking about like different cities that have fallen. That like Madrid is next.
Yeah, I think 39.
and they have cars and stuff.
Yeah, also that. Yeah. But I'm just so much more invested in that and the story of the gold and all of that, and it doesn't. I'm not saying it's tacked on or that it's wrong or that it should be more scary even, but
the ghost has felt out of place.
The ghost felt out of place where I'm like, I feel like all of the time and the effort and like the story building is built on really fuck, I can't even remember her name right now. The one-legged
Carla or not Carla?
It does start with a C.
I think Carmen.
Carmen,
and also the doctor, like their relationship, and then her relationship with Jacinto, and what you find out later, which we'll get into, about their past and stuff like that. But sorry, thank you. I don't know. I like this movie, but the ghost stuff seems almost secondary.
I kind of agree with both of you about the ghost. It does kind of seem like the ghost is tacked on, but I also get that it's like
he's like a narrator.
I don't think the ghost is like supposed to be the scary part of this movie. Right?
No, he portrays the horror of man, but the fucking like, the representation of the violence that was inflicted on him.
Exactly, like that's the scary part of the movie. It's not a haunting movie. There's just a ghost there. He's not haunting it. He's just hanging out, and like needs help pretty much.
That's kind of how ghosts.
I know. That's
in like Spanish culture, or like also like Japanese culture is another popular one.
Dead body in your well, like that water's gross and you can't drink it. Right?
I'm just saying, like if you're expecting like a scary ghost, this isn't it. Like he's not scary looking.
He's maybe disturbing or unsettling to look at time. He's kind of got a cool design though. Actually, for 2001, some of the graphics look a little out of place.
CGI is
but it's kind of a cool concept.
Idea.
Yeah, I would have. This is one of those things where it's like if you could have saw it illustrated like in a graphic novel panel, and then they kind of like painted in the theater of the mind, you'd have been like, "Fuck, that's a badass." That's awesome. And then like when you would have saw it on the big screen adaptation, no matter what, it would have never lived up in your mind.
Yeah,
I kind of just let it be what it was and filled in the blanks in my mind. And I love the idea of the creature concept, even though the execution does feel like a timestamp on this movie, when so much of the rest of it is fairly timeless, despite that it is a period piece, like I said, in the 1930s or whatever, around there, Spanish Civil War. But it's kind of like a timeless story. You feel like I don't know, children, orphanage. It's always kind of like the lost souls. I feel like this movie actually has a lot of parallels to another film called The Orphanage, if you guys had seen that.
Oh, it's also Spanish, right?
Yes.
Oh,
and I think it was presented by Guillermo Del Toro.
Or produced or whatever, yeah.
Right. And that's actually really good. That's actually a really good film, but it has to be a lot inspired by this. It's very similar. Have you guys seen the others? There was also a Spanish ghost story that came out this same year, and that's
Is it Spanish? I thought is it Nicole Kidman?
It's an English language film.
Okay.
But it is written and directed, was produced and filmed in Spain by a Spanish production company.
I have seen it a couple times, actually. I like it a lot. I wouldn't spoil it if you guys haven't seen it.
I have not seen it, so
I
please
have not
don't.
seen it.
I've heard it's got a good twist.
It's honestly a great film, and I would pick it for
It's on my list, I think.
Maybe 31 Days.
But
Elmies, keep your ears open. We'll talk about 31 Days later.
As much as it is like a great film, is like how it is like more of a thriller with a good twist, and it doesn't rely a lot on like a creature or even gore. And this movie does have some gore.
This movie does have some good gore.
I do like the kind of callback to the mammoth, in the earlier bits. But I also want to talk about the flag of the Second Spanish Republic. It has it's a tricolor of red, yellow, and purple, and you just don't see purple in a lot of flags. And I want to respect that.
Respect to the flag.
Respect to the Second Spanish Republic flag. Thank you.
Come on, guys. Here at the pod, we love the flag.
Yeah. If anybody who listens to the pod happens to be an expert on flags, go ahead and get in contact with us. We'd like to.
Talk flags.
We got some people that want to get in touch with you. So if you're a flag enthusiast, reach out. DMs, and we'll hook you up. Don't worry about that.
Don't worry about that.
All right. So this movie. It is in Spanish, and I honestly don't know any of these actors.
Did you use subtitles?
What's that?
Did you use subtitles?
Of course, I use subtitles, but
Wait, there were subtitles? Fuck.
I can't really speak Spanish, but I don't do the best at understanding mostly Guillermo Del Toro's Spanish films, because they're usually starring Spanish actors.
Not Mexican.
Yes,
Spanish.
and I don't have a lot of exposure to that. But I mean, I could recognize huge keywords and shit.
But you can hear the lisp, and it's prominent, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. We could talk about etymology and regional dialects for a long time, but I don't think we're going to get into that. Poorly.
Could you imagine maybe one Elmer maybe screaming at us?
Oh, I know who it is. He's already angry at us for all the misinformation. First of all, let's disclaimer: we miscredit people, we misattribute, we tell you the wrong years all the times. We make assumptions. We're
wrong
we just make shit up.
The wrong movie sometimes.
Oh, I've actually watched the wrong movies before, Elmer. I don't know if we told that story. We're not telling it now, but if you get behind our paywall, you can hear that and more.
Good luck getting behind it. You got to be rich.
But that's not this movie.
No.
It's not this movie.
You know what this is, though? This is the first pod that we've done together in the presence of my new best friend, Sana. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Sana in the studio. She's a new bonsai. She's a jade. She's beautiful. She's with us every day, and you can hear her thoughts and more on 13th Elm. Listen to it. Bask in it.
Wow, what wisdom.
Yeah, I agree.
It's amazing.
She's funny.
She's
she
cute.
Doesn't have much to say about movies, but man, does she have some insight.
Apparently.
That's pretty great. She fits in immediately.
Her and Screech are going to be best friends.
Screech a deech deech.
Scrivedenci.
Wow.
Back to the movie. Okay, gentlemen. Do you don't have much to say about this movie? Did you guys like it? Rob said yes. Bill, what'd you think? You already said you liked it, Rob. Go ahead. We're going off the rails.
That's his review.
That'd be so funny, like the Star Tribune. Rob.
Screeches.
I mean, she's taught me a lot. You know, you don't know how much you can convey, really, in a single screech.
How much can you talk into that microphone?
Not very well.
No, not very well at all.
Not very well at all. Bill, really, thoughts, feelings, concerns?
I mean, about which part we've barely
About
covered.
which
any of
part?
it.
That's what I'm saying. Well, I
movie.
said, what do you guys think? You both sat there and looked back and forth and nobody talked for 30 seconds. I'm trying to keep this fucking thing alive. Let me jump back in and hear more of my own voice. Fuck it. All right, well, I think this movie actually had two really good stories that coexisted that didn't like necessarily get as fleshed out as maybe they could have been, but I don't think the movie needed to be 2.5, 3 hours. I don't know if it needed to be a short series. I think both were fun, and I was left wanting more. It was really pretty, obviously. Guillermo Del Toro knows how to present the shit out of a movie. But yeah, I thought that the story of the Spanish Civil War and the orphanage and like the Republican National Guard, or not the Republican National Guard, but the Republican Spanish Army or whatever that had stashed the gold with Carmen and the Doctor, that was like all a great story. And then there's this crazy turning point in the movie beyond the like ghost story of Santi is when Jacinto tries to steal the gold and blow up the orphanage, and he fucking, spoiler alert, he
does a lot of that.
Kills probably fucking a dozen or more people, and I would say 10 plus of them are children, just graphic, blown to bits. This is not a happy movie, and I know you love a sad ending, Bill, and we'll talk about it. There might be some like comeuppance, but this ending is brutally tragic.
I would say this film starts out almost like a Stand By Me meets Schindler's List, but like in Spain, and then ends up like the third act of a Cronenberg film.
Talking to your fucking microphone.
I'm sorry. Jesus.
Sorry. I've told you 5 times off air as polite as I can. Now the Elvers know.
Sorry. And then turns into the third act of a Cronenberg film, like where they're fucking stabbing him with sharpened sticks. It's insane.
That part was tight.
That part was actually really sick, and I do like the mammoth callback. And it was like
I didn't even think about that because that's how they would like kill those big motherfuckers.
Yeah, and they're like
I didn't get that. Till
people
now.
would all have to work together
and shit.
Be communists.
Yes.
I mean, that's what this movie is a lot of. Like, this is a good story, a good drama. There's some great gore. Like, let's talk about that. Guillermo Del Toro always has some like fantastic elements to his stories, like Kronos or Pan's Labyrinth. It kind of has more fantastic elements, I guess.
Yeah.
But with this, usually he has some sustained long gore that is very much in like the Cronenberg sense, like a body horror, but he does it in a natural way, in like a pain, like an inflicted wounds way. And like some of those scenes of the stabbing of the sharpened sticks like through his forearm and in his side under his arm, I was like,
brutal.
Oh fuck!
Like it's honestly such a turn, because real talk, I was a little bored through like the middle of this film. It wasn't even that like the action drops. It's just a pretty slow burn.
And your subtitles, like you got to read.
And you're reading subtitles too, so your action's divided. I mean, your attention's divided. Yeah, but it's so sudden. It almost feels like it flips. Not maybe on a dime, but pretty suddenly.
Well, it makes you fucking hate the antagonist. Like, Jacinto, like, if you need a reason to fucking root against this guy.
He's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah. He blows up a fucking orphanage.
He kills like a lot of children. I know you love dead kids.
He's an adulter.
In movies.
And he is hot, too.
He's fucking
sexy.
hot. In that, like, soiled cotton shirt with his fucking suspenders.
Dude, I want to fucking smell him.
Oh, my God. I bet he smells like hard work and harder.
Oh, he smells like fucking like leaded gasoline and salt and beer and
sun-kissed fucking like
rum-soaked infants.
Oh my God! Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah. The name of the movie, Devil's Backbone, that comes from like
bifida.
Comes from a weird type of like a little sub-narrative story with the Doctor, and he kind of confirms some of his suspicions, or like he kind of confirms that he has superstitions about the afterlife, and also it's like a narrative on his impotence, which leads to Carmen having an affair with Jacinto. Like there's a lot of layers of story in this whole movie.
She was having an affair with him since he was like
a fucking stud.
Like
but,
16, 17 probably.
No, he's like
out of 10.
Yeah, out of 10. He's like late 20s, early 30s. I would
assume. No, since he was 17.
Since.
Yeah.
Probably, but like
right?
he's.
I thought he said that too.
Maybe, but what he definitely said is that like you're fucking. You need a hard cock.
You need a hard cock. I've heard this last time.
And then the doctor was drinking the infant rum juice because he
aphrodisiac.
Because he had superstitions of what could hurt you, but also maybe
pretty effective though.
Anybody over 60 would drink anything to get a hard cock. Remember, he's talking to the kid.
No, I do remember. I mean, like it's an effective speech against like believing in like superstition. Kind of like, you want to drink this shit?
Yeah, because this is his response to Carlos asking him if he believes in ghosts. And
but Carlos doesn't stick around long enough to get the answer because the doctor drinks the rum.
No. Carlos, no. Carlos is like, do you believe in ghosts? And he's like, oh, let me tell you that everybody believes all that shit. And then he says, do you want to drink this? And he says, no, and he leaves, and then doesn't see him drink it.
That's what I just said. Carlos doesn't get the answer from him. Like it's an answer to a question that wasn't posed. You're not keeping up. Sorry, but like what I'm saying is, Carlos goes to him and he asks like, "Do you believe in ghosts?" And then he says, "Oh yeah, drink this." And like, if you believe in ghosts, like, you might as well do that. Blah 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 blah. And Carlos runs away and he doesn't see that the doctor drinks the fucking shit. And the doctor affirms the superstition of the fucking film. This is like rudimentary. We've already covered it twice now.
Cool. No one's arguing against that. You said it wrong. We'll listen to it later.
Fuck you, Pete Davidson.
How much do you think those gold bars weigh? Honestly. Guess.
Fuck.
Good-sized gold bars. Really good-sized gold bars.
Would you say those are a good size?
Yes.
Those are fucking huge. Honestly.
Gold is heavy as fuck. Those are
12
big.
pounds?
No.
More. Well, I would say that those things probably weigh like between like
he had
5 and 8 pounds each.
But he had like 8 of them in like a fanny pack?
No, he had way more than that. He probably had like 15 or 25 of them, depending.
How much is that worth in today's dollars?
Oh, a lot. Because like, okay, a kilo is 2.2 pounds, and a pound 16 ounces, and an ounce is like $1,000.
Okay, so 2.2, 22,000 bucks, $2,200 times a lot.
Let's say each one is 2 kilos, which is 4.4 pounds.
Piece of paper?
No.
Hold on, I have a calculator.
We should
pretty
keep recording.
Easy. Okay. Let's say each of them. Let's say they've got 20 bars.
Sure.
That sounds like a math problem.
Okay, so
about $90,000.
Okay, there you go. Thank you.
1930s Civil War era Spain. Is that significant? I mean, it's enough for the fucking.
I have no idea what the rate of gold was in Civil War era Spain. I'm going off regular rates of gold. Sorry for me being a fucking asshole. My bad.
I'm just okay. Whatever. It's rudimentary. We've covered it twice.
3 times.
We've covered it once, twice, thrice.
We've covered it twice, but have we covered it twice?
Have we covered twice?
Splice me and dice me.
Oh.
And pumpkin spice me. It's fall. Welcome to fall.
I had pumpkin spice today, gentlemen.
Do you guys, I mean, I'm just saying, like, he's like, there's not, that's like hundreds of pounds that he's carrying on him.
Would you carry hundreds of pounds of gold if it meant that you
I wouldn't be able to carry it. I'm not that strong, and neither is he.
Would you blow 10 kids for that much gold?
Am I that loud?
How loud is he?
Would you kill 40 children like Anakin Skywalker, except with an explosion and not a lightsaber, in order to steal $90,000 worth of gold?
In Civil War era Spain.
And then escape to Portugal through the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
It's pretty easy when you say it like that. What's in Portugal when I get there? Like, do I know somebody?
No, you don't. You still have like it's like having like
No, but you
cocaine.
got
It's like you have to
90
sell
Gs.
that cocaine or gold. It's like how are you going to do that?
You just take it to the currency exchange.
Take the currency exchange and have like I have a kilo of cocaine. I'd like to sell this cocaine, please.
Can we talk about the one really funny part in this movie?
What?
When the what's the bully kid's name? He's not a
Jaime.
bully.
Jaime.
When Jaime is like, "Hey, you want to trade?" and he's like realistic picture of a naked woman, and it's like a
Pussy's
stick figure with big
sideways.
boobs and a sideways pussy.
It's a mouth. It's like a mouth.
I laughed hard at that, especially like it was already funny, but it was funny that one of like the younger kids was like, "The pussy's backwards, you fucking idiot!" Like one of the younger ones knew it.
This movie does a
It's
great job of
insane.
like getting you to draw connections to the kids because you kind of see like Carlos overcome
Isn't it-
his like what
The kids, I don't know what he was trying to say,
Yeah,
but
I tried to give him an
Isn't it-
opportunity, and then he interrupted me. I'm like, no, go ahead, and he's like, oh, let me just stop.
Isn't it Schindler's List though? Kind of.
I don't
I don't
fucking
know.
know, man. I
I
haven't
don't think
seen
I've ever
Schindler's
seen
fucking
it.
list.
Okay.
But yeah, like I guess like salty.
What about Shawshank Redemption? Does it remind you of Shawshank Redemption?
Yeah, I was
But-
watching this the whole time, and I was like, yeah, Brooks was here.
it's not like Shawshank. They're both long and kind of boring at times.
Dude. Okay.
But fuck, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, I don't know if this was on purpose or not, but I didn't care about any of the adult characters.
Yeah.
I don't think
You-
you're supposed
they
to.
weren't really.
Okay, that's what I was
yeah.
wondering. Like, I don't know if it was on purpose, but like even like Doctor, like, because they made his death like
Poetry.
a big deal, and I,
I
was
think
like, I don't care.
I think it's
about
more
him.
that you need to know that he died
Yeah,
because there's the significance of. I think his character becomes more valuable in death because
I did like that too. The
Yeah.
ghost door open to free the boys.
Yeah.
That was tight, and it was like straight out of Shining. Yeah,
yeah.
right.
This is good. I
did like that because it was like,
but like in life they're so insignificant. I don't know. They do a good job like painting these boys as like just kind of feral and like or what
Painting boys.
I just
painting
want to
boys.
paint. I want to paint these boys.
Hot. Elmers, if you want to paint us, please reach us at 13thelm@gmail.com. Tweet, Instagram, whatever.
I'm sorry, I'm done.
What is going on?
That's a good plug. But yeah, no, these boys are
Painted up and
badass.
Painting.
Boys
Those
are
are
badass.
Badass.
These are
Honestly,
badass boys.
Collecting
These
water
are
in the
badass
middle of
boys.
the night from the one who sighs.
And then shooting him with a slingshot. That was
That's
fucked. This
pretty
is a
fucked.
downer of a movie. We like kind of talked about that, but this like is a sad
First of all,
movie.
they're orphans.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's already
Okay.
sad.
So
It's
you're
not gonna
already-
not be
checkbox
sad.
Okay.
orphans.
Then they get blown up by a greedy money.
Oh!
hungry fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
They get glow, but like so the ones that are alive, there's like 5 of them that are alive, and there's like all of their friends are orphans are fucking dead, and not only are they dead, they're just littered.
Shocknal.
They're
Up.
littered all over the fucking place.
Owl? When
Owl
they're
has
like
it-
pulling shrapnel out of his fucking back.
Yeah, and then
And he toughs it out.
what's the other guy's name? Galvez.
Yeah. Doc is like bleeding out of his ears and like shell shocked.
That
They're
was
like
tight.
wandering around the
Galvez
battlefield.
breaks his fucking ankle
Oh
and is
my God.
hobbled.
Yeah.
And they just like snap it back and he keeps going. Like these boys are badass.
They have to be,
It's the Civil War.
and they're also orphans. Like
And all
nobody
their,
looks out.
all
for them.
their dads died in the Civil War earlier in the Civil War.
Yeah, and
yeah,
then so
and Carlos doesn't even know it. Is there a reason, or do we think there's a reason why they
Okay, so-
don't tell him his dad died?
Because
because
he's like young.
Yeah, because he's young, and like I don't know,
So
it's
they
probably
just
going
ditch
to be.
him at an orphanage? That's so
I
much
mean,
worse.
No,
Like,
no,
Because
no,
like they have to
because
fight
Ayala,
and yeah.
Ayala is like a representative of the nationalist fucking army or whatever.
yeah,
And that's why they have the gold, is because that's money that the nationalists
for the cause.
Right,
is like embezzling there and shit. And so I think that in the meantime, because in the very beginning of the movie, the doctor is like, you're only going to be here for a little while.
yeah.
And I do think the intention is Ayala is going to like take the heat off of their situation and like try to flee Spain with Carlos, because when they do find out that their location has been compromised, the doctor and Carmen do try to get all of the boys relocated.
Yes.
They do try to leave before the bombs start dropping, because the opposing Spanish army is going to has already tried to drop bombs on this fucking orphanage because they know that the gold is
there's a
there.
bomb in the
As
middle
we
of the
know
courtyard.
by the huge fucking bomb.
That's like something out of Fallout, man. It
Yeah,
was
it's
insane.
a little silly.
Sure,
You
but
can
it's
hear
fun.
it ticking, right? But it was something
hear
cool
it
to hide
talking.
behind when you're like hiding in the dark and you're trying to go between.
It was necessary, and the stuff they did with it was fine. But when I first saw it, I think I giggled.
I mean, we
It's-
fucking do a horror movie
Honestly,
podcast. Like, it's fucking just a vehicle.
You know what?
Yeah.
It's flavor.
This movie is almost like an inferior version of Pan's Labyrinth, in my opinion.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, like we touched on a little before, they are very similar. And yeah, I would agree. I would definitely.
I want it to
I
be
would
more
take Pan's
fantastic.
I've
over
only
this,
seen
for
Pan's
sure.
Labyrinth
supernatural.
maybe
Yeah,
twice,
but I
once.
liked it to lean more one way or the
Yeah.
other. Like, oh, sorry, lean more
really good.
into
You
the
not seen it?
ghost, or
Oh, I've seen it, like, once or
more
twice.
into the actual war. You know.
Yeah,
I
true.
disagree. I think the balance is great, almost perfect. I don't want more Ghost. Less Ghost is better.
No ghost.
No
No, because the Ghost is like, this is a story of fucking like innocence protected. You know what I mean? And like, the child has to
so-
be the like purveyor of that. And I think that the representation of the child in the afterlife who lost his life because of not only the neglect and like being an orphan, but then also abuse of power. I don't know. This movie is about like an uprising, right, of a bunch of people who don't have anywhere to go or anybody
Yeah.
to protect them or stand up for them. And I think that's also a parallel narrative to what's going on in the Spanish Civil War, right? Because they're voice of the voiceless trying to overtake an oppressive force that is much larger than you and controls and has dominion over all of, what you, like what your resources, what you have access to. Like, I don't know. It's really important part of the story, I
Yeah.
think. And
Definitely.
stylistically, it's really fucking cool, even if it is a little bit 2001 and dated in that sense. But like, I love how the blood is always floating upwards out of the wound in his head, like the apparition or like the phantasm.
Yeah.
It's just a cool effect, and like the bones and shit. The kid looks terrifying. There's times when his face is smashed in. You see like the wound from him getting his face pushed against that brick wall. It's like really cool. I like it.
We should probably talk about him, right? We need to talk about Santi. Right, so it's a big deal when Carlos gets left at the orphanage because, it's an orphanage. These boys have a tight bond, and they're like, the new kid, he's already ostracized, and he gets a place in bed 12, and the first night, I'm just going to have to keep calling the bully. I'm going to keep forgetting his name.
Jaime.
Like one of his friends comes up and he's like, hey, you see him, what bunk they put him in? And he's like, yeah, shut up. Like, it's obviously that it's a big deal that he got that bed. And as viewers, knowing that there was like a dead kid, we're like, yeah, that's whatever the ghost is, that had to be his bed.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn that the story is that when the huge bomb fell in like the courtyard or whatever, that Santi got scared and ran off and probably didn't make it because they talk about how it's like a mile to the closest town from where they are or whatever.
A day's walk.
Yeah, and when Carlos discovers that there's a ghost there, he is like not scared at all. He's like seeking it out, like looking for it, trying to talk to it.
Yeah, he's pretty much like already like, I'm gonna figure this out. He's pretty determined.
And the first few times it's like kind of chasing a shadow. And there are some good like creepy shots there where he's, looking under the bed and the shadow's moving and you don't see it. But pretty quick it's just like lets it see him. It's just like, yeah, we can talk. But all he really says is,
A lot of you may die.
a lot of you are gonna die.
A lot
Is
of
it
you are
just
gonna
may
die?
A
Something,
lot of you will die.
A lot of you will die.
Or
something like that.
many of you will die.
Many of you will die. That sounds right.
Many of you will die.
Something ominous.
It doesn't really like elaborate further into helping them.
Yeah, but
I don't think
He's
he
still
really has a lot of knowledge to pass on. Really, you know what I mean? Like, he would only know what he knew in life. Like, he can't really... Like, he doesn't seem to be omnipotent or anything like that.
Yeah, you can almost say his death was so brutal that his ghost might not remember it. If that makes sense. Because he dies from, like,
Brain
head
trauma.
trauma.
I mean, he does remember it because he definitely like strangles his like killer at the end.
Yeah, but doesn't someone... But he sees things unravel first. He sees Jacinto, what the fuck his name is. Jacinto. Like,
Jacinto.
be a piece of shit, like, abuse the other ones, and Carlos talks to him and, like, gives him information, and that's when he's eventually like, what do you want? And he says, bring me him, like, talking about him. So it's like maybe he was evil, and not evil, but like ominous and apprehensive at first because like he didn't know, and then seeing everything and talking to Carlos,
like an
he
abandoned
learned.
child.
He was like, it's not their fault because, yeah, that's what
if
I'm
you
saying.
were an abandoned and abused child,
yeah,
like, you know, and if
he might not
Jacinto
blame
is,
the abuser because
right,
he's
and
so
if
fucked because he's so been
he
manipulated
trusts him.
and has emotional trauma. Yeah,
and if his death was so abrupt, he might still, like, you know, it wasn't torturous.
Yeah, and Carlos helped him realize, he was like, we don't need to, like, no one else needs to die.
It's kind of like
one
separating
motherfucker.
from like your loyalty to a nation or a government.
Yeah,
It's kind of like
can definitely
having,
be seen as that.
you know what I mean?
It's like Stockholm syndrome, kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah,
It's like I was only following orders,
exactly.
type of deal. Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know. This movie
Like-
is deep and smart in that way, and in a lot of
Yeah.
levels that I think I don't necessarily understand from a filmmaking aspect, and also from like a cultural and like Spanish history aspect as well.
For sure.
How do you feel about the gold teleporting into her leg?
I mean, I think she put it there.
Teleporting? I don't remember any teleportation.
Oh, I thought it was kind of like he put it in her leg.
No.
I mean,
Because there's a part where she like stops for a second when they're like about to, like, they're trying to leave, and she goes, "Oh, my leg is now heavier than ever," and then he goes to the safe, and the safe is empty.
Yeah, I think they put it in there.
But like,
I don't think it teleported.
I wonder, no, like by the ghost.
No.
I don't
No?
think so.
Okay.
No, I don't think.
Okay, maybe
I think
read-
it was just a
maybe I
remark.
read like way too much into
yeah,
that.
remember when you were like, it was like 100 fucking pounds? I think she was just like, fuck, you put a lot of heavy shit in this hollow leg of mine.
But like, I mean, it would be a lot of weight if those gold bars were gold.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do we need to go over this again? How much did they weigh?
No, we went how much they were.
Not how much they
How much do they weigh? Well,
Oh,
there's
let's get to
20.
the
What is
weight.
it?
20
kilos,
times 4.4.
With weight, it's
So-
weight and what's
well,
weight.
okay, let's
44,
reverse
so it's like
engineer
88
this. If there's
pounds.
3 of them
88
per
pounds.
unit, and that's 1 unit
88
per
pounds.
hectoliter?
88
What's a
pounds.
I'm
hectoliter?
sorry.
88 pounds.
88
All right,
pounds.
88 pounds. Let's move on. So, yes.
I know, right?
So someone who, I don't remember, someone rolls
David.
up
Michael?
to
David.
doctor.
David.
To the doctor and was like, or someone no, the doctor sees someone that he knows, but the audience doesn't know unless I miss it, get like assassinated by soldiers while out, executed. Executed, and comes back and is like, they just killed person, we don't know.
That's the guy who dropped off Carlos. That was Ayala.
The tutor.
Oh, it's the
That's
tutor.
the tutor.
Fuck. See, I knew it was probably something that I missed because they made it seem okay. So yeah, so we see the tutor get executed, and he comes back and he's like, Franco's army's fucking coming here now.
They know we have the gold.
Round up the boys. We're out. And like they weren't joking. She was like, okay, done. Eat breakfast. Pack. Let's go
Now.
And what's his face?
Jacinto's like, nah, hold up a minute.
Yeah, Jacinto knows about the gold. He rolls up with his 2 goons,
Yeah.
Fat Boy and Skinny Boy.
One of
Is
them
how
thinks
they're
like
known.
pig.
Fat boy and
Oh
slim.
yeah, one of them they just call Pig,
Yeah, the fat
which
boy.
seemed mean. Or maybe that was his name. I don't know. And then another one. And there's a confrontation, and he gets fucking butted by what happens to him? He gets like hit in the face with the gun, with the butt of the gun or something. Someone fucks up his face pretty
he
good.
gets fucked up.
And he leaves, and they're like, yeah, we took care of that asshole. But he comes back furious and with a lot of gasoline. And this is when
he's like, give me that fucking gold.
He's found by woman.
His
the
girl.
His pretty girl.
Fuck. I want to say Maria, but I don't think that's right.
I don't think that's right either.
Doesn't matter.
And he's starting the gasoline like at the truck that they're gonna leave and like inside and like starting his path. And you see, none of the performance really stood out to me. None of them were bad. I thought they were all
the kids
good.
are pretty good, but it's hard to tell in its foreign language. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's sometimes hard to tell.
I'm saying like they're all good. Like there were no like amazing performances, but this actor played this part really well because like I remember he like turns around and like looks wild and he plays this crazy guy really well, and you can tell immediately you're like, yeah, this guy's gonna blow up children. Like
I thought Carlos was good. Like Carlos is pretty good.
Carlos was good, yeah. Everyone was good.
Yeah, Doc was
That's
good.
what I'm saying. Like
Carmen was good.
None of them stood out as amazing or below par.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it's a Del Toro movie. You can't really complain about acting in any of his films.
Right. And I mean, the performances so rarely jump to the top of what's remarkable in Del Toro movies. Not to take anything away from the performers, but like
I agree with
his
that.
movies are so stylized, and you can always tell his cinematography, his writing, his stories, like, and it's so much GDT that, especially to like a Western audience that doesn't recognize any of these actors, like I'm not gonna know their names. You know what I mean?
I don't.
But their performances are adequate at the least, I guess. Yeah.
You all right?
So yeah, he's ready to kill a bunch of kids for gold, and he does light that thing, and he does it in like kind of a typical like
Cigarette.
like
Bad guy.
guy thing. He lights a cigarette and takes a hit of it and gets hurt, gets shot. She goes at him. He's kind of like fucking with her. She's got a shotgun and it goes off, and he takes a couple shells in the shoulder. And I guess this does kind of leave in your mind is like, do you think he could have talked her out of it or kept it from doing it? Because it's obvious that he's so angry that he got shot that in that moment he took the cigarette and flicked it in and started it. But also I said as soon as he turned around, he knew he was going to do it. So I'm contradicting myself.
Putting gas on shit. Like, you're going to blow it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, flicks a cigarette and boom. And it's a boom, boom.
It's a boom, boom,
Dude,
boom.
like dozens of
Big bada
kids
boom.
fucking die violently on screen, sustained like effects of violence.
It's one of those
shots.
It's one of those explosions that like everyone that plays the Halo campaigns know. You like get blown up, and you know you're supposed to get blown up because it goes to a cutscene, and you like wake up and everything around you is blurry and you can't see, and you're like you can't hear anything, and you're looking at yourself. You know what I'm talking about. And there's like blood everywhere, and this is like what we get from the doctor is like who we see, and we're like, he's alive, but his blood
fucked up.
Oh, he's bleeding
coming
out of his ears.
He's mortally wounded. In fact, though,
and then
maimed.
he finally like looks around and starts, getting a sense of his surroundings, and his surroundings are blown up children and like
rubble of the orphanage, and
like one or two kids like helping other kids and like yelling,
flaming
but he still
vehicles
like
and
can't
shit.
hear. Yeah, he looks
It's like
at the
Saving
truck.
Private Ryan.
It's honestly really, really graphic.
Yeah, and it's good. This
It's
is a
good.
good scene.
And like I said, it absolutely gives you every reason you need to fucking root against Jacinto and for those kids. Like, if you needed another reason to root for orphans against their abuser, like
Here's
this
one.
This is a fucking insane one, and
he's a huge piece of shit at other times too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, we learned that he killed Santi. Obviously, that's why.
Yep.
And
He's having an affair with the doctor's wife.
Yeah, and the bully was only a bully at the time because Santi was his best friend, and he pretty much witnessed him get murdered and probably felt guilty that he didn't/couldn't do anything to.
And he was protective of his memory, and also like he didn't want somebody sleeping in that bed. He didn't want Santi to be forgotten. That's a whole nother thing with like Spanish and like Mexican ghost stories and shit, like Dia de los Muertos and stuff. It's like about remembrance and like bringing those lost family members and friends like to an altar and to like preserve the memory and making sure you have pictures of them and stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like there's a whole thing culturally where this child doesn't want this place where these nameless children who get erased from history to forget his best friend. You know, he's a victim of trauma, and he acts out because he doesn't have role models or support system and shit. Like, this movie is fucking speaks a lot about a lot of things, and it's good.
Yeah. And so yeah, Santi asked for Jacinto. I added a symbol. I added a syllable for sure, but that's all right. Can I just call him Hot Guy, like how he did
Hot Guy.
Because I'm sorry,
Call him Eli.
He's a piece of shit.
He looks like Eli Roth.
But
He's handsome as fuck. He's got
really
strong brow and like
strong everything.
Olive skin. He's got some good traps and fucking like tries.
It's like really passionate about, I don't know, killing children and gold.
Fucking older women and
yeah.
Hard cocks.
His friends. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
What's his name? Hacienda Real.
Hacienda.
Hacienda. Goodness. So Hot Guy. They think they've.
This episode.
I'm done. Get me out of here.
I wish we were
wild.
There's too much fucking shit on him.
We can't even rate it. We gotta go. We gotta go, guys. We gotta see you at Waffle House.
No, finishing the thought. Santi wants the bad guy, so they think of a trap to get him down to the gross water thing that he's in.
The well
that you see in the flashback that he's dead in, that he dies in, pretty much. And you want this guy to die. I mean,
he's blowing up orphans.
That's
a
a bad guy.
That's a bad guy.
He's a bad guy. He's a big bad guy.
Well, I'm
He's a
saying
bad
is,
guy.
like, you want him to die, and you're
He's a
like,
rotten egg.
and you're like, oh, I hope he gets a brutal death.
Oh,
And he
fuck.
gets a pretty fucking brutal death.
Absolutely
So
gets a
when
brutal
the
death.
boys are locked up, they like shatter a window and use the glass to make spears.
Out of sticks. Like, they sharpen sticks.
Yeah. So they lure him down there to the basement or whatever. And they bait him. 4 of them come out as bait. And he's got his attention on there. 4. He's got a gun. He's like, oh my God, you guys are so dumb. Like,
He raises his arm to shoot him.
Raises his arm to shoot him, and one of the boys comes out and boom.
Under the armpit.
First spear under pit.
Oh, man, it was good.
Yeah.
It was like, fuck, and it sounded squelchy and wet. You know I love a good,
It's
like
a nice wet stab.
Okay, so it's probably for me, it's like bludgeoning. I think we've all agreed that bludgeoning kills are great, but
Piercing.
then also like piercing, like not even necessarily stabbing, but
stab,
like
but
a pierce.
Mm-hmm.
That's high up there. That's good. Like if anybody gets skewered or impaled or gored, yeah, like a pitchfork is always like, ugh. So this one was like a thick boy, and it only goes in so deep, but it's deep enough to fuck him up.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He drops his fucking gun.
Oh yeah. I mean, you're done after that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I don't really give
Well,
a
maybe
fuck.
you, but
And then,
Like if you're a human.
and then like 4 fucking boys come with other sharpened sticks and start jabbing him on the ground. They get into his
Did it
arm,
Yeah.
the
stab him.
side.
Like no
It's
kill,
brutal.
like no kill
I
blows.
wanted
just
like
poking him.
like chanting in Latin in the background, like
Yeah, it's
but
fucking
they're all
brutal.
just stabbing him in different places. But I mean, he's obviously not getting stabbed deep enough, like to die.
They can't
He's just-
mortally wound him,
but he will
they're-
bleed to death quickly.
and then he gets pushed into the water.
And then they
and
shove
if,
him into the water.
if that was
And
enough, he would drown.
and
Like he's
it's-
mortally
it's
wounded.
88 pounds of gold, and probably 60 of it tied up on his belt.
And this
He's
was,
trying to
like,
take it
some
out of his pocket.
symbolism is like, the thing you wanted the most and did all this work for is now. I mean, not killing him because
Weighing
the
him
kids
down.
and the ghosts are killing him, but
no,
it's
but that's the
literally
symbolism of
weighing
the
and
whole
slowing
thing.
him
It's
down.
representative of the guilt, or not the guilt, but it's kind of the guilt, but like the greed and the abuse of power and
It's killing
everything that, exactly. It's fucking beautiful, honestly. This movie's a banger. I
Santi grabs him in the water, pulls him down.
would like to revisit Pan's Labyrinth because I remember liking it a lot when I was young and saw it, but I think I just loved how stylistic and brutal it was. I didn't probably get as much as I would get from it now. But this movie, I preferred it much to Kronos.
I haven't seen
Kronos
Kronos.
is not good, honestly. It's very boring.
Isn't it a vampire movie?
It is in a
Kind of,
roundabout way, but
It's
okay,
a relic
you
movie
like
and Ron Perlman.
Nightbreed, right?
I love Nightbreed.
Okay, so Pan's Labyrinth is like the best version of that, but by Guillermo Del Toro.
I mean, sure. Whatever.
It's
I've seen it and I like it. I would watch it again.
Watch it again.
But this is really good also. I like Guillermo Del Toro. He's done so much fun shit. I mean, we know the Elmers out there can't get enough of our Blade episode. Maybe we'll visit
how
Blade
many views
2.
do we have on Blade?
Like 26,000.
That's
How many of them are real people?
it's
Less
probably
than 20.
probably at least 25,000.
yeah.
But he did Blade 2. Maybe we'll do an episode on Blade 2 one
I
day.
know he did Blade 2.
He did Hellboy 2. Nightmare Alley came out last year. I did want to see that. I didn't get to it, but
Hellboy was fun.
Shape of Water also.
Did
he won
do
his.
Crimson Peak too?
He did do Crimson Peak, which I haven't seen, and I
Me
didn't see
neither.
Pacific Rim, which people hate.
That shit looks
I
dumb.
didn't
That's Del
like
Toro.
it. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
He
directed it.
Yeah.
He directed it.
I
Yeah.
didn't like it. It's
It
dumb.
looked dumb.
He did
It is
Pinocchio, that's
dumb.
coming out this next
Yeah, it
month.
should be creepy and weird,
that
but
shit
maybe
should
not
be
great.
dark.
How about the
My
Strain?
God,
Did
if
you
I had a
see
dollar
that,
for
Rob?
it.
I watched all of The Strain, actually.
Did you read any of the graphic novel or
did
anything
not
like
read the
that? Because
graphic
he also
novels.
authored the graphic novels, or he co-authored the graphic novels.
It's I don't know how like closely it follows the actual graphic novels, but it's good until maybe the very end. You
Okay.
tickling my feet there, Bill? Yeah. Go for it. Yeah, no, get in there.
Share.
Come on, yeah, come on.
Share.
Yeah, let's scream more in this microphone.
Yeah, you were mad at me earlier for being too fucking quiet.
Make
and
up
now
your mind,
you
Michael.
screaming. You screaming
I
now,
can't
boy.
scream.
You
I
screaming.
can't whisper.
Can't scream.
Make up your
Fucking
mind.
can't get my feet tickled. Like what the?
On your whole fucking head.
I swear to fucking God,
All right, let's rate
in
this
this
movie.
fucking pod.
Michael, what do you rate this?
80.
Out of 100. 80?
Yeah,
Damn.
I like it a lot. It's really good. It's tight. It's well shot. It's well performed as much as I can tell. Again, it's hard to tell sometimes in not your native
Yeah,
language. I
it's
don't
true.
speak Spanish well enough to
Right.
barely begin to dissect the performances. But there's little music or score in this. But what it does is effective. It's secondary to what you're seeing on screen and kind of some of like the shapes and shadows and movements, which is something Del Toro does really well. I liked it. I don't think it was too long at all. You guys mentioned being perhaps a little bored in the second act. I didn't really experience that myself. By no means is it going to be a banger for everybody, but I really liked it. 80.
I gave this a 75. I did really like it. I wanted it to be more of like a traditional horror movie, I guess, because it is really dark and sad and there's death and gore. You know, it obviously is horror, but I wanted it to be more so. But the story was really good. Talking about it more made me like it more, just tying some loose ends together and whatnot. There's a lot of good symbolism and everything, and the gore you get is good.
Can we talk real quick about something I left out? But we talked about how it is kind of sad and whatnot. But like the ending of the movie is like we talk about how they killed Jacinto, and that sounds like it's good and like they defeat the big bad. But like they're an orphanage in rural Civil War Spain. All of the adults are dead.
Yeah,
Carmen is dead. The doctor is dead. Money is gone. If they did get it, they wouldn't be able to fucking use it. All of their buddies are fucking dead.
The only vehicle they had, the truck, is blown up.
They have no water. They have
No
no food. One of their friends is hobbled. The other is riddled with shrapnel. And they walk off into the fucking desert, roll credits. Like,
They probably died.
They definitely died.
They're dead.
Quickly. They're fucked. It was midday. And, like, we already know that there's wild animals and coyotes and shit around there.
Yeah.
So, like, this is a fucking pretty sad ending. Like, and like, the thing about the big bad or whatever you want to say is, like, they didn't really, like, right a wrong. They just kind of stopped the continued cycle of violence, which I get that, but they didn't bring Santi back, and they didn't really, like, the price of it wasn't necessarily worth everything because so many lives were lost and ultimately also their own. I think you're left with that impression. And that type of ending just doesn't happen all the time in horror movies, which I like. And you don't need all the kids to fucking die on screen. I know we always talk about how morbid we like to get in, like, dead kids in movies, but, like, the way this movie ends was fucking dark. I liked it.
I did too. It was dark.
Yeah. Probably want a cracker. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a good film. I'm not crazy about it as a horror film, although it definitely is one. It's not particularly terrifying. That's not like, I don't know. It's like a bad knock, I feel. But
And I don't necessarily think that's its objective either.
it's not. But it is like creepy. It's like, I guess the way I would describe it is like a macabre drama. And then like almost like a wartime drama. And it's funny, I think we like almost talked about this before either of us watched the film. It's like, oh, this will just be a Guillermo Del Toro movie that's set in the Spanish Civil War. But like I feel like the Spanish Civil War has so much more to do with it than just the setting.
And I think this being early on, especially coming after Mimic, is like probably where he got that label. And then you go into Pan's Labyrinth, and that was a big stage for him, and it won several awards, and it was like kind of doubled down on it. And I think it was America's first taste, like Western audience that really got that marketing in the United States quite a bit. And so when we all saw Pan's Labyrinth, and then we're like, oh, he did these, and then we will look at two other movies from him, and it's definitely all Spanish era Civil War.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of writes itself, but this might be, along with Pan's Labyrinth, you said they're kind of like sibling films, the best representation of what Guillermo del Toro has to offer for that era. Because the narrative on the war is also really a great story.
Yeah.
I wish I could appreciate it more.
I read some reviews that, again, like it's beyond me enough to tell whether that's bullshit or insight, about how basically Carlos is the new generation and they're having to deal with, Franco's regime for essentially the next like 40 years. Like he died in like 75. So sorry. He died in 75, so for his entire life, Carlos would be under his rule,
Right.
And how Jacinto is, trying to steal the gold and also like pleasuring and like flattering like the older generation, and just a lot of like subtext and allegory on the Spanish Civil War that is just over my head. So I don't know how much of that is real and how much of that is necessary to have or understand its context to enjoy the film.
But I think it's super relatable to us too, because like how many people do you know that are like our age or close to it, and like they fucking know better,
None.
but they are fucking in bed with fucking the old generation, and they just continue to do the same old fucking shit because like the 1% of fucking white men who own everything are going to continue to do white men who own everything shit.
Yeah. So if I was going to rate this film, I guess I would say it's like a 70, 75, somewhere there.
That's a big swing. Like, just pick a number, land on
70 or
something. Don't give it like, oh, I love this film, but it's not as a horror film. Like, just what the fucking do you rate it?
It's like good, but it's like kind of slow, and like the acting is good, but again, like what you said, it's hard to gauge it when it's not in your native language, and a lot of it's also like just it's a little dated. Just the special effects. Shouldn't be a big knock, but it is a little bit.
There's not too much of that though.
But I'd say like a 72. We'll say that. It's worth watching, but what is it? 2 hours and
no, it's like an hour and 41.
Hour 48.
Okay.
Somewhere in there. It's like an hour 40. Ish.
8.
Okay.
Hour 48. You heard the man.
Bill's very confident it's hour
Hour
48.
48.
It is.
What do you guys think?
Talk into the fucking
We waited
microphone.
it
God
already.
damn it.
You were last.
I did that on purpose.
He gave it an 80. I gave it a 75. We rated it already.
I gave it a 72.
I know.
What are we
I was
watching
there
next
1
week?
minute ago.
Jesus Christ. Let's wrap this up.
We went off on like a huge tangent before I even rated it.
So
Shut
many.
up.
This whole
Next
time.
week,
Yeah, Rob's hosting next week.
do you want to know?
No.
Yeah.
But we got to
The
let the Elmers
Elmers
know.
need-
Don't want to know? Fine.
The Elmers need to know.
I want to know. Michael, don't listen.
Yeah,
Okay.
shut up.
I'll
Plug
turn
your
it
ears. Fucking asshole.
That's the sound of the
It's
headset turning
a
off.
perfect waveform. Next week's pick is a film that I like quite a bit.
Oh my God.
What's
What the
it
fuck
called?
is going on?
It's one that I've actually wish both of you guys had watched by now.
And now we're going to
And
next
now you're
week.
going to.
If he says it, if he gets to it by next week.
Fuck.
It's a South Korean vampire film called
Oh, Thirst.
Thirst or Bok Jui. And yeah, it's
I've
streaming.
almost picked this a few times.
It's streaming on Peacock Premium right now, or you could
Yeah.
rent it on like I think Prime or Apple. So
Or I'll watch the copy that you lended
I was about
me
to say,
Or-
don't you
8
have
months
it on
ago.
DVD?
yeah, there's
You
also
never
we have
watched it?
nope, he
A
didn't.
physical copy that was given to me said, "Hey, watch this movie." But then also we watched like
300
130
movies
movies last year
It's
together.
insane.
Like fuck.
It is a longer, if I remember right. I don't know if it's like 2 hours or close to it, but it's not a short film. But it's
Great.
good. It's actually a really good
I mean, I
vampire
feel like
movie.
a
and
Korean
weird.
vampire movie, if it was less than 2 hours, I'd be shocked.
Yeah.
Do you know like 9 of the actors or actresses that might be in it?
Okay, so it's Park Chan-wook who directed like Parasite and a couple other like pretty big films.
Host,
He's the director, and then
Snowpiercer.
Snowpiercer, and then
I thought Parasite was Bong Joon-ho.
oh, it's Bong Joon-ho.
It is Bong
yeah.
Joon-ho. Fuck.
Park Chan-wook. Fuck, what did he direct?
Yeah, you got
Old
it.
Boy.
Old Boy.
Yeah, so I
And
actually...
Mr. Vengeance. No sympathy for Mr. Vengeance.
Stop talking about movies that are on my my 31 Days of Horror list.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't have known that if you didn't just say it.
It's 2 hours 13 minutes.
Woo!
Came out in 2009, and yeah, Park Chan-wook is the director.
He fucks. This is
He
gonna be good.
Fucks.
Like, I'm not a big vampire person, but if a director made a vampire movie I liked, it would be him for sure. The Old Boy series is fucking awesome.
So yeah, that's next week. Who knows what we're eating? I don't.
I don't.
We'll find out this time next week when you're finishing up.
When you're
the kitchen.
still when you get started.
Fuck. All right. Well,
Just kidding.
this is one of the longer pods we've done in a while, and we're happy to have had you along with us. It's not one of the longer pods, I guess.
It's
but-
average.
Well,
Feels
It feels long.
imagine that. I'm confusing average for longer. Well, I'll fucking let you know how long it feels next week when we're back the same place, same time.
Different time.
Different time.
I think we're gonna. Are we doing it on Tuesday next week? Or
Thursday.
Thursday.
Some day that ends in a Y.
It'll be up next week,
All right.
folks. Figure it out.
We're done. Bye.
We're fucking done.
Suck our dicks.
We don't
No.
need that.
No.
No,
We have each other.
we have each
We
other.
have each other. Come on.
Yeah. Pull up with us, watch 2 films. Come on, watch 2 films. If you scared, don't come over here. 13th Elm.